It's time to find out what's cooking. Here now is the head chef of the Pemberton Township High School Food Service Program and your host, Tim Baroli.
Hello, welcome again to What's Cooking. I'm Tim Baroli. Today we're going to show you how to prepare a very easy roast in a very short amount of time, and we're also going to show you how to take that same cut of meat and turn it into a very easy and quick sauté dish. And we're going to throw in a side dish that goes very well with either of these two entrees, and it is also going to be a fine dessert. And they're all going to be very simple to do. What we're going to show you today is how to prepare a pork tenderloin. The first thing I want to do is show you what the cut of meat is, and then tell you a little bit about it. So I'm going to show it to you on the board just the way you would purchase them if you were buying a whole pork loin, or if you were going to buy them. They can be wrapped in cryovac, which is a saran type of a wrap that keeps them for a long time. These are just as they have been pulled from the pork loin. So right next to these, or right above these, would also be the pork chops. This is the most tender cut on the loin of pork, and this is called the tenderloin or the fillet. Now what we're going to do is we're going to roast one and we're going to slice the other one. So what I want to show you is we're going to pull one away here, how to prepare this one for roasting. Now all we're going to do, since this is one entire muscle, we're going to just remove some of the fat, and we're going to take off this little silk skin on the outside. Now I want to show you this before we show you the recipe, because I want to pop this in the oven and then we're going to tell you what we're going to do with it. So I'm going to take off this little hunk of fat on the side, and we're going to discard that. And then right on the one end will taper down flat like this. The other end will be kind of higher and rounded on the one end. Okay, so the end that is rounded is going to be a thin membrane right on there, and that's called a silk. And if you've ever seen a skin of fish or remove a skin, all you have to do is put the point of the knife under and pull it, and you'll take that away. And we want to get just most of that off. We don't have to get all of it off. Take a little bit more fat from down here, off of here, and off of the end. And then what we're going to do is pick up a roast pan, and we're going to put this right in there so that we're all set to roast this off. Now what you want to remember is this is a very small muscle, so it's going to cook very quickly. The overall thickness of this is about 1 inch. So what we're looking at, we lay this out, we're going to just bend the tail or the flat end up underneath, and what that's going to do is make this all the same thickness. So here's the thicker end, and this end right here that we take and fold that, so it's all going to be about the same. So I'm going to just take a little bit of oil in the bottom of a roaster, and then we're just going to lift this roast right up and set it right in there. And then we're going to put a little bit of salt over that and some pepper, and this is going to go right into the oven. And that's all there is to getting that roast ready. Since this is an entire muscle, we don't have to worry about tying it up or any of those kind of things. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to shrink out of proportion. So into the oven it goes. Temperatures for roasting range anywhere from 300 degrees, even lower, but when we speak of roasting, the average temperature is 300 degrees, upwards of 375 to 400 degrees, depending on the size of the roast that we want to handle and the desired degree of doneness we want, whether we want the outside crispy or we want the outside not too done. Pork tenderloins, since they have some fat on them, on the outside of them, and since they are so small, can be cooked at 400 degrees. They're going to brown real nice. By the time they brown, they're done. So what are we preparing? How about if we show you a menu? What we're doing for you today is a roast pork tenderloin. And we've already got that in the oven, since a roast takes a little bit of time. So the pork fillet is in the oven. Now this stuffing that we're going to put under it is really very simple. Don't be afraid to experiment with any of this. You can use bread or potatoes or both. Now today I'm only going to use bread. You can, If you have some leftover mashed potatoes, you just throw them right in with this little bit of pan stuffing. Salt, pepper, you can put eggs in it if you want. We're going to use stock today, some onion and some celery. Now all you have to do with all of this is roast a filet, then we've got that in the oven roasting now. We're going to cut up some vegetables nice and small, and we're going to put all the ingredients together, mix it up, and we're going to moisten that with some stock until we get that to a desirable degree of doneness. And what we want is we want that consistency to be really nice. Now for stuffing, try to get bread that is just going stale. Italian rolls are fine, any kind of bread. The softer rolls will do fine. So all we have to do with this is cut them up. So I'm going to take one of each today. And we're going to just take these. Now, if these are already sliced, all I want to do is get these cut nice and small. And if you're having trouble when you watch us slicing things and dicing them up and getting them nice and small, the trick to getting things cut nice and small is to make sure you make all of your long cuts first. All these cuts I'm making, I'm trying to get these as long and thin as I can get them. Then, to make them real small, it's not going to be a problem. Why do I want to make them small? Because this is going to go quickly. We want small little cubes, and these little cubes, once we dice them up, are going to mix real quick. They're going to suck up any of the moisture that we want to add to this, and it's going to work out just fine. So we're going to cube these up and throw them right in there. Now this is going to go underneath that roast. Okay, so it's called a stuffing. We're not even going to bake this one. This is going to be cooked right on the top of the stove. We're going to just do that right in a saute pan. Again, we're going to do the rolls. We do them long ways, make all of our other cuts, and just slice them up nice and small. Now the bread, as I said, is just starting to go stale. I'd rather have it where it's still got a little bit of a sponginess to it for the quicker stuffings. If you're making a traditional stuffing that you're going to stuff in a bird, or you're going to make it a dressing and bake it off in an oven, in a casserole dish or a flat roasting pan, then you can use the harder bread and add all the ingredients you want to it, and it's going to take more time to do. Since this bread still has some life left in it, it's going to mix and stick together very nicely. So what we're going to do for that now is we're going to cut up some onion, and we're going to put some of these green onions in there, and we're going to just cut them right up and put them in there. All right. We just toss that right in on top of that. And then we're going to season this with some salt and some pepper. And we're going to cut up a little celery. Now they got some room here. We'll break a couple of them off. And now the same holds true for the celery. Remember, we're going to cook this very, very quickly, so the cooking time is going to be very short. So we want to make sure that the celery is very, very small. The smaller I make it, the quicker it's going to cook. And now that we have this about ready, I'm going to put our saute pan on the fire so that it's ready. Now to make our celery small, again, just remember we make them long and thin. We just cut them lengthwise and then split them again until we get them all those long thin pieces there. Then we just put them together, and all we have to do with that is dice them across, and that's going to come up very, very small. And the amount of time that this is going to cook is going to be very short. The celery is going to be done, but it's still going to have a little bit of a crispiness to it. But we want it to have that cooked texture. So there's our small celery, and it goes in there. Now I'd like to tell you a little bit about what we're going to use to moisten this today. Normally at home, a lot of our recipes that I read and look at call for milk, which is fine because milk is a liquid that you need. It's going to enrich anything that you're going to add to it instead of water. However, I would like to show you that we're going to use stock today, and what I'm going to use is some chicken stock. Now, the chicken stock I have, there's two ways of going about stock. You can either take a chicken and boil the chicken down with carrot, celery, and onions, and then cool it off and strain it, and then you'll have a nice stock. Or the other thing you can do, which I have done today, is either use bouillon cubes or a soup base, which is nothing more than large bulk of bouillon cube in a 1 pound container. And we just crumble that into hot water, stir it up, taste it till we get a nice strong stock, which I have here, and we're going to just add that right to that bread. Now that falls as I do that. Now while I'm doing this, I'm also going to just take and put some oil in that saute pan. And then we're going to mix this up. And as I'm mixing this bread, it's going to begin to stick itself all together. And then we're going to just take this now and put that right into our hot saute pan. Now we pat that down so that we get the heat moving all around it. And we're going to just watch the vegetable that we have in there. Keep that off the bottom. And we're going to just cook this till we see the color of the onions change. There we go. And we're going to let this cook till we get a little bit of color on the bottom. So I'm going to just stir that around again. And as I stir it around, I'm flattening it out. And that's the reason that we're using this pan. We're trying to expose as much of this to the hot bottom of the pan, so that gives us a larger cooking surface, and that really puts the heat up. So that's all set. And we're going to just let that continue to cook. I'm going to lower this just a little now, since we're not going to serve this immediately. There we go. And we're going to let that cook a little bit. Take a look at our tenderloin, and we're going to see how things are going there. And then we're going to come back and show you how to do the side dish that goes well with this pork. And we're also going to show you another way to prepare a pork fillet. So while I'm taking care of everything here, I'd like you at home to watch this.
The floral arrangements seen on the set of What's Cookin' are provided by the Cranberry Blossom Floral Company, 120 Hanover Street in Pemberton, New Jersey. The Cranberry Blossom Floral Company specializes in flowers for all occasions, including those special designs for parties and weddings. That's the Cranberry Blossom Floral Company, your FTD florist in Pemberton, New Jersey. Call area 609-894-8080.
Hey, thanks to these airbags here, this job is now a piece okay, Claire.
But Vince...
Yeah, I'll tell you something, partner. I just might stick around a few more years.
But Vince...
No more dashboard du jour or Vince under glass, huh?
But Vince...
Look out!
Even with airbags, Vince, you still got to remember to buckle your safety belt.
Now you tell me.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
Well, things are looking pretty good in the oven, and what I'm going to do is just take a look to show you folks at home how quickly this will brown up. Now remember, this is in our convection oven, which is an oven with a fan, and that's already browned up real nice, and we've got a little bit of juice in the bottom of the pan. So what we're going to do is leave that in the oven, since we're not going to cook anything else in that, and we're going to leave it off to let that rest. What that's going to do is drive the juices that we have pushed down into the center, and they're going to work their way back out. So we should have a nice juicy roast when we get ready to slice that. The stuffing is right over here next to the oven, staying nice and warm. We're going to leave that there because what we're going to show you right now is how to prepare a medallion of pork. Now this recipe will work well with veal or lamb or chicken. So anything else, any other type of meat that you would want to cook this way, as long as you have the meat that you can pound out the same size, which is a medallion, you can certainly do it. So all you need is a pork tenderloin, and we're going to show you how to cut medallions. A little bit of flour, butter, oil, any variety of fresh vegetables, stock, which we told you about, and some wine. Today I'm going to use a little Burgundy. We're going to pound and dredge the pork. We're going to show you that. Then we're going to saute them in oil, turn them over, take them out of the pan, toss in the vegetables. Then we're going to put in some stock and wine, and then we're going to put the meat back into the pan, and it's going to finish it right off. So it's going to be a very quick procedure that we're going to do. So what we have in front of us is the pork fillet, and we're going to trim this just about how we started out with the other one. We just take off that silk. We just pull that along that way and pull that back. And what we would do with this would be to defat this all the way. This outside piece, which is a chain, we're just going to remove that just like that and pull that out of the way. And then I have a little bit of fat on the other side here. We're just going to take that off, because this saute dish is going to be one that whatever we put in the pan, that's all we're going to enjoy. We're not going to have to worry about bones or anything else. And we're going to cut these at approximately 1/2 of an inch thick. Okay, now we've got them sliced. Now remember, these are tenderloins. They're very, very tender, as I told you at the top of the program. So what we're going to do is just give them a little pat. Okay, and all we're going to do is flatten them out. You can see the size difference in them. Once we flatten them out, they just about double in the area that they take up, but they go less than half in the height, and that's going to be very, very quick cooking time, and that's what we're looking for. Okay, so we just knock out our medallions just like that. Now what we've done is we've effectively trimmed away any of the fat or anything else around the meat. So now we're going to take that, we've pounded them, we're going to dredge them, a little bit of flour, and we're going to shake them out. And then we're all set to go. What we're going to do is put a little oil in our saute pan, and we'll turn that fire up. Now, the wine that I'm using today is Burgundy, so if you know that the Burgundy is a dark red wine, this is going to be a dish that we can take these little medallions, which they are, the size of them, and we're going to just saute them. So you can start this right now, and if they begin to brown, that's fine. We don't have any problem with them browning. Now we got the ends from the scallions, and what I'm going to do is just cut them in half, just like that. We're going to leave them at a nice size. We're going to put a few peppers in there, and this is going to go nice and quick. So what we're going to do now is we take that, shake them, send them over, and since I have the room in the pan, we just pull these off to one side like that. We don't even have to take them out of the pan, and we toss in our veggies. We're going to cut up a little garlic, and a little shallot goes in there. Any kind of a fresh vegetable that you might have around that you would want to put right in there. And as long as they're about the same thickness, you're not going to have any problem with that. So we've got the veggies there. We're going to cook them nice and quick. Pull that over to the side. Get that one end of the pork cooking there. I'm going to put a little bit of the Burgundy in there. Okay, and then we're going to put a little more stock on that. Shake that around, and what happens, the flour that was on the outside of the pork is going to turn this into a nice little sauce. So that's ready. We're going to pull that off the fire, and I want to show you our recipe for what we're going to serve on the side. And what that's going to be is an apple fritter. Now they're very, very quick and very, very easy. And what we're going to do is put a batter together for you, and for the measurements, since the flour is variable, all you have to have is an egg, about 3 teaspoons of baking powder, a 1/2 pint of milk, and the apples. So all we got to do right now is we're going to take those ingredients, and we can make a little well in the center if you're going to measure out the flour and use the 3 cups of flour. Then you'd mix the egg in there and then add the milk gradually. And then we're going to just dip the slices. What we're going to do with this is we're going to beat this egg up. All right. And then we're going to add some milk to that. All right, so I have our amount of liquid ready. And then we're going to put some sugar in there, which you may omit if you'd like. However, the amount of sugar for one egg that I'm putting in here is about a half a cup. And we're going to put about the 3 teaspoons of baking powder. So these are going to puff up real nice. Now I've mixed all of the wet ingredients, and then I threw in that one dry, and then I can add the flour. Now the reason I can add it this way is if I don't like the consistency of this, I can always add a little more flour. But if I didn't have enough flour on hand and I started out with the flour and had too much liquid, then you're in trouble. So we go like that, just a little bit more, and that's going to tighten up just a little. We'll move this over here. And that's all you got to do for that batter. There's really nothing to the batter. It just goes together just that quick. It's going to foam up and be real smooth, and that's what you want to see. That batter should look like that. Or if you want to make sure you cover your finger, and if it sticks to your hand like that, you're in business, and that's going to make a real nice coating on the top of these apples. And then we're going to just take our apples, take any kind of apple that you want, and we're going to just take those right out of there. And then as we just pull down the center, and we're going to take the peel right off. And they're going to get tossed right in there. This batter will work well with any other kind of fruit that you'd like to dip. With pork, you want to make sure that you, when you serve it, one of the easiest things to serve with pork is probably applesauce. So this is a change from the applesauce, and the time that we're going to spend on it is really not much at all. I mean, this is one whole apple, and it's only takes us a couple of minutes to put this together. So instead of applesauce, if you're tired of that, you can just make these, and these are going to be fresh, and they're going to be a little different. If you don't care for the apples, what also works well is a banana, and you can take that, make the batter up as soon as you're ready now, and then just slice the banana and put that right in there. Now all we have to do is fish them out, and they're going to go right into here. So what I'm going to do is make sure this is hot enough by dipping that in there as long as that's bubbling up nice. We just coat them up with that. Shake off a little of the excess, and that goes right in, just like that. We're going to put them all in there. Got one hiding in here. There we go. And we have them all set. And we're going to just turn them as soon as they brown. Now remember, what helps these to brown so quick is the amount of sugar that's in that recipe. So as I told you, for the one egg and the not quite a half a pint of milk, I put in a half a cup of sugar. So that's what makes this batter brown so much. So if you're going to omit the sugar, remember that it might not brown as quickly as the ones that we're showing you here today. But if you want them to brown real quick and real nice and real even, be sure you put that sugar in there. Even though you may think that they're going to be very, very, very sweet, you're going to find that once you caramelize or brown that sugar, that it's going to take the sweetness away from it. All right, I'd like to show you how these dishes are going to look now that we have those cooked. And we'll put together our the first one that I want to put together for you is going to be the sauteed medallions while our fritters are finishing up. And all we do with these is lay them right on there. Now remember, this was, if these were a half an inch when we started, we're only looking at maybe a quarter of that pork fillet. So even though the fillets are very small, when we prepare them like this, they do go a long way. So we have that, and we're going to put some of our apples on the side of that. Take them right out. And I'm going to make a little room, and we're going to show you our roasted pork. So I'm going to make a little bit of room, and now we're going to go over to our oven, pull that out, which has been, just since we came back, it's already cooled down enough for me to handle that pan. And I'm going to lift that roast out. All right, and we're going to take some of our stuffing. Let me make a little more room here. And we put our pan down and some of that stuffing. I'm going to drag that spoon through there. And we're going to lift out the last of the fritters so that we don't overdo those. We're going to put them right on the side. There we go. And all we have to do to serve our roast is we can cut from either end because we made the roast the same all the way through. So all we have to do is slice that, and they go right on top. So a pork tenderloin, that'll serve about 3 people. With the amounts that we made you today, unless 2 of you are very hungry, and the sauteed way, you'll get 2 orders out of it. So you'll get a little more out of it when you roast it because the shrinkage will be less, and when you saute it, it may go a little further. So I'd like to review for you today the recipes that we did, and they were with pork fillets. The first one was a roasted tenderloin. All we had to do was fold it in half, trim it, and roast it. And we made a little bit of a pan stuffing there, which only took us a few minutes to do. So it's very easy to serve with that. And remember, we used stock today instead of water, and we made it the consistency that we liked. We took the other pork tenderloin, cut them into medallions, pounded them out, and we sauteed them after we put them in flour in some oil, and we used some of the scallion ends today, and a little bit of green pepper, and a little bit of shallot, and then we added some burgundy wine, and we returned the whole thing to the pan till they were done. And the side dish that we made for you today was apple fritters, and all we did was take some of that flour, baking powder, sugar, and an egg, a little bit of milk, peeled the potatoes, the apples rather, and we dipped them in that batter, and all we had to do was saute them actually in a little more oil until they were completely brown on each side. So 2 very easy recipes to use pork, which most people may feel is greasy. However, remember, using a pork fillet, you cut the fat, and it's very easy to prepare. Thank you for watching.